Hey everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So the 92nd Academy Awards have come and gone, and I don't need to remind you that it was a night full of historic surprises and, frankly, brilliant ones at that. So just a little Oscars wrap-up video. Suffice to say, this is the happiest I've been with Oscars results since forever, really. I think this is the one year where they got it absolutely right. It was the year in which Parasite and director Bong Joon-ho stormed to victory and also made their way into the history books. South Korea's first ever wins for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Foreign Language Film or Best International Feature as it's now known, and Best Original Screenplay. First ever foreign language film to win the Best Picture Oscar. The first film, I found this out, since 1955's Marty to win the Palme d'Or at Cannes and to then go on and win the Best Picture Oscars. So it's also made history in that sense as well. And of course, there were lots of other firsts throughout the evening. Joaquin Phoenix won the Best Actor Oscar for Joker. That was kind of inevitable, really. I think if any of the awards this year were a shoo-in, it was that. But that in its own way is kind of historic because he's the first ever recipient of the Best Actor Oscar for a comic book movie. Or Heath Ledger got Best Supporting Actor for playing the Joker in The Dark Knight, and that was posthumous. Renee Zellweger won her first ever Best Actress prize for Judy, well deserved. Again, she's won an Oscar before, but it was for Best Supporting Actress for Cold Mountain. Hilda Goodnadotir won a Best Original Score for Joker. She's only the third woman to ever win an Oscar, third female composer to ever win an Oscar in the history of the ceremony. She follows in the footsteps of Rachel Portman for Emma and Anne Dudley for The Full Monty. So lots and lots of things going on. And of course, Brad Pitt won his first ever Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Another result that I was really pleased with. I mean, all of that is window dressing compared to Parasite's victory. I mean, you might have seen my review here on the channel. Anyone who is remotely curious about watching Parasite, please go and check out my video review. It's a masterpiece. I've loved Bong Joon-ho's movies for such a long time now, ever since going back to Mother. I think Mother was the first film of his that I saw. This was before Snowpiercer came out. And I love his singularly dark, biting sense of humour, his ability to fuse really entertaining sort of audience-friendly concepts with real like trenchant social satire and really potent themes. The way he's able to amalgamate all of this together is brilliant. And Parasite, as I've said at the risk of repeating what was in my review, Parasite does that brilliantly. I think it's actually been a long time since I've been so happy for a filmmaker to hold an Oscar aloft. I was so happy for him. He deserves this, as indeed do all of the crew that worked on Parasite, including those that didn't get Oscar nominated. It's a really fabulous film. Of course, people are now saying that, well, of course, now this is the first ever foreign language film to win the Best Picture Oscar, the first ever South Korean film to win the Best Picture Oscar. Of course, this is going to break new ground, and I hate to sort of bring everyone back down to earth, but this is the Oscars. Oscars voters are a famously fickle bunch with they've got a short attention span, and what occupies them one year won't necessarily set the standard for the following year. I'm going to say, if we're going to measure Parasite's legacy as an Oscar winner, let's wait and see what the Oscars do next year, because I've got a nasty feeling that next year's ceremony is going to be really boring, really derivative. It's going to award the Best Picture Oscar to the most kind of mediocre derivative tripe that frankly doesn't deserve it. And I think that unfortunately what the Oscars will do is they'll revert to type. I think what they the temptation this year is to think that what they've done is they've delivered a tokenistic prize. Oh, let's quickly root around and find the best the foreign language film that people are talking about, give that the Oscar. I like to think that their decision this year wasn't quite as cynical as that they actually did recognise Parasite for what it was, which is a superb piece of work and a defining film from its director. But that said, that doesn't mean that they'll necessarily sustain the lessons that they've learned this year into next year. This is the Oscars. It will disappoint us again. I'm sure that they will disappoint us again in due course. For the moment, let's just revel in this very, very glorious moment where they got it absolutely spot on and where Parasite deserved everything that it got, and when Bong Joon-ho was deservedly hailed as the hero of the evening. It's so wonderful to say that. I've been a fan of his films for such a long time. So yeah, a rare instance of the Academy Awards getting it spot on. What were your thoughts on the 2020 Oscars? Drop me a comment here at Kubrick Corner, and I'll see you soon. Bye.